Welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel, to the XRP army. Appreciate all the love. I know you guys are probably wondering, Crypto ZX, do you ever sleep? And the answer is no. Why would we be sleeping during these times? Just kidding. Get your sleep, guys. I do get sleep. I promise you guys that. But let's take a look at what's happening with XRP today. The XRP army is all over the place, and I'm sure at this point you guys have guessed why I say that. Uh, you know, we are seeing a wide range of ETFs going live today, HBAR being one of them, Litecoin and Solana. And yeah, I know a lot of people wondering, where is this XRP ETF? Guys, relax, relax. It's imminent. It's imminent. Just HBAR and Litecoin, the timelines is for them. But again, even I mentioned this in my HBAR update, I could not have imagined that, we would have seen Litecoin and HBAR ETFs being approved before XRP and Solana. Solana has gotten that ETF. XRP still on the waiting side of things, but again, I do believe this is going to become a norm in my opinion. But before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer: anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So looking at XRP right now, it's one of the coins that's still up about 1.9%. Again, we'll take it, right? It's better than it being in red, which actually some of the coins are. Like, majority of the market actually is seeing a little bit of a minor pullback over the last 24 hours. But XRP holding up good. Again, I think market kind of preparing itself for the ETF announcement on that as well. But take a look at it on a weekly time frame. What a lot of people have already forgotten: XRP is up 10%. Again, something I don't want you guys to forget when you guys are analyzing XRP. So as far as the price is concerned, $2.66, up about 2.1% on the USD side of things, and up about 2.7% on the Bitcoin side of things. Valuation approaching 160 billion, and the 24-hour trading volume at about $4.3 billion. But yeah, let's take a look at what's happening. But off topic, are you guys watching the World Series for MLB? Dodgers against the Blue Jays. Let me know who you think is going to win that. I stayed up late watching that as well, so let me know who your team is. But let's take a look at what's going on. So Bitcoin dashboard. So zero peak indicators flashed. Sentiment is bearish and everything is flushed. I totally agree with Quinton. From a technical standpoint, we look for peak indicators, right? In the previous cycles, we've seen, peak indicators flashing, which kind of gives us a better understanding. Hey, you know what? The bull market is coming to an end. But this time around, everyone is scratching their heads thinking, we saw the largest liquidation event taking place on October 10th. And yet the price of Bitcoin is reclaiming back above $114,000. It's back in the 23.6, and none of these peak indicators have flashed. And yet people are calling that the market top is here, which again, it just makes me wonder, like, whether or not this indeed is the start to a new super cycle. Again, no one really knows. I say this in every single update of mine. Only time is going to tell. Historically speaking, yes, we should be coming to an end, right? Timeline for me, again, if this is your first time coming onto the channel, timeline for me is around, 2025 or early next year, unless of course we hear something crazy. And again, but when I always think about interest rates, right? Like, interest rates are just starting to get cut by the feds. And previous cycles was completely the opposite. You started to see interest rate hikes, right? Meaning interest rates were increasing. So again, 2026 is going to be a very interesting year to be watching, and I think it's going to be also a big year that will tell us whether or not, hey, this 4-year cycle no longer exists, which some of the analysts are thinking that it no longer exists. But what makes me believe like that, what makes me think from a realistic standpoint that that is a possibility, is the institutional demand, the regulation that's coming towards the digital asset space. Institutions that are paying so much attention to blockchain technology and digital assets. On top of that, government's paying attention to, crypto as well. So this never used to exist in the past, right? But this time it does. So again, 2026 is going to be a very important year nonetheless. Again, something we've been talking about on the channel. But again, let's talk about the ETF numbers in terms of inflows. You guys know I love taking a look at that. It gives us a little bit of a better perspective as to what's going on. Look at it. BlackRock has been on a spree, and they've been on a buying spree for ETH. They bought 17,440 Ethereum worth about $73 million just yesterday. Apologies for that. So again, they're buying ETH. That is very interesting to see. But what's even more interesting to see is the S&P 500, which has been absolutely soaring, while the Bitcoin side, I'm sorry, while the is starting to cool off. Gold has been on a decline. Is this coming into the S&P, into the traditional stock market and crypto? But look what Cointelegraph says. Big. The S&P 500 closed above 6,800 for the first time. So again, a new all-time high. And is Bitcoin next? Is Bitcoin about to follow? Bitcoin has been making a very interesting move over the last 24 hours. We did come up close to 116,500. Again, we got to be looking at this very, very closely. So, yeah, here, look at what Chad says. It's crypto ETF season. And again, timeline, we were talking about the timeline to be sometime in October. And again, seems like October was the month. Might not be for every single coin, but we are starting to see things happening. You can see they'll all be approved, and the Wall Street money will start rotating in, and that's what is the exciting part when it comes to these ETFs. But Eleanor explains this, and this is where the news really came about this ETF conversation. So you look what she says. Canary funds, spot, HBAR, and all Litecoin ETFs are now effective and will begin trading on the Nasdaq tomorrow. That's just crazy to think about, according to the CEO Steven. So Steven says Litecoin and HBAR are the next two token ETFs to go effective after Ethereum. We look forward to launching tomorrow. And I know a lot of people are confused about this, but take a look at this. This morning, New York Stock Exchange certified all the 8-A filings for the ETFs above, aka the final step before shares can start trading. But what about the SEC government staff needing to greenlight the S1 registration statements? Here's the key. The issuers included language in their amendment S1s that lets them automatically go effective 20 days after filing. Typically, issuers delay the S-1s until the SEC takes them effective, but the legal default is that the S-1 goes automatically effective without SEC intervention. That means the agency doesn't need to approve them manually, and the filings can go live on their own even during the shutdown. And again, this is something we talked about when this was originally, happening from these issuers when they were doing these amended, S-1. So again, very interesting. So long story short, all the legal boxes are checked, and these ETFs are on track for launch. Very, very interesting stuff. But take a look at this. Crypto adoption by institution. You're looking at the biggest players in the world when it comes to financial institutions, and you guys are seeing they are going full force into crypto ETPs, crypto trading custody services. Like most of them are launching their own custody and trading services. If you came up to me a few years back, this was a dream at one point for crypto pioneers. And again, I'm not like a OG crypto, pioneer. Like I wasn't there in 2010. I wasn't there in 2011, even though I knew what Bitcoin was in 2012, believe it or not. But again, I've been in the space for a decade. And again, it has been so like this has like, there has been so much enhancement when it comes to, regulation, when it comes to adoption. We used to talk about these times, and it's actually happening right now. You're looking at Bank of America, BlackRock, BNY Mellon, Charles Schwab. List goes on and on. Crypto trading and custody. And then there's some of them that are offering private crypto funds, crypto ETPs, crypto enabled payments, tokenization. List goes on and on. And this is just the start. And most of this stuff, believe it or not, has happened this year. What a lot of people overlook. But let's move forward and see what's happening. Shout out to Smoke as always. Ripple Solution relies on XRP being a higher price. So if the native token XRP has a higher value, it increases the value of the solution because it increases the liquidity of the network. With a higher value, XRP can, convey a higher value than other currencies. And again, this has been documented, but let's take a look at what's happening with the price. So if you're looking at the price right now, again, as far as the dominance is concerned, 59.75%. Bitcoin, on the other hand, sitting at $114,500, looking good, in my opinion. Bitcoin is looking good, but I do believe the next 2 days could bring in some choppiness. So that's something I want you guys to be looking out for and be prepared for because, of course, historically speaking, during FOMC meeting leading to that, we do tend to see choppiness, and I do expect that. And I think if we hear some good news coming on Thursday from the meeting that obviously is highly anticipated between China and the US president, I think the market could have a positive impact to that. But let's take a look at what's happening with XRP's price right now. XRP's price is still below our $2.70 price point. Again, a level that I talked to you guys about, but believe it or not, we did almost retest that. Almost, not exactly, but almost ended up retesting it. And you can see for yourself a rejection. At this point, you guys should know Crypto ZX has been talking about this key range for quite some time, and we're having a hard time breaking out of that key level. And it shouldn't be a surprise. Breaking above here, like I said, takes us back up to where we were prior to this retracement. But I like this consolidation that we're seeing here. And I do expect this next leg up occurring much quicker than a lot of people are realizing. What you want to see happen for XRP for this month is to get back into 23.6 before the monthly close happens. And that is about a 7% move from where we currently are. And it's still a possibility. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Much love. Appreciate all your support. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel and your bell icon is on here so you're notified every time we upload. Like I said, no days off. No days off, no matter what happens. I got you covered. We'll see you later in Crypto ZX and peace.